What's happening, Raider Nation? I hope you're strapped in tight because what I'm about to tell you is going to send shockwaves through every corner of Allegiant Stadium and beyond. We're talking about moves, decisions, and developments that could completely reshape how this Silver and Black Army marches into the 2025 season. Today we've got 3 explosive updates that are about to rock your football soul to its very core. A familiar face from the past whose potential return is dividing legends and fans alike, creating a storm of controversy that's tearing through the Raiders community like wildfire. A legal and ethical battlefield that's erupting behind closed doors, involving guaranteed millions and medical decisions that could set precedents for the entire NFL landscape. And a defensive addition that's flying under the radar but might just be the missing piece that transforms this entire franchise into something special. And if you bleed silver and black, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and drop your hottest takes in the comments. Let's show the entire NFL that Raider Nation dominates not just on Sundays, but everywhere we go. Because what's unfolding in Las Vegas right now isn't just news, it's the kind of drama that legends are built on. If you think you've seen it all when it comes to Raiders moves, think again. Because what's happening inside this organization right now could completely rewrite the entire script of not just this season, but the future of this franchise. The decisions being made in those war rooms, the conversations happening behind closed doors, and the players who are stepping up when it matters most, it's all coming together in ways that nobody saw coming. The first story starts with a name that every Raider Nation member knows by heart. A receiver who once wore the silver and black with promise, but whose departure left wounds that some say never fully healed. The whispers started quietly in the hallways. The kind of rumors that make front office phones ring and make fans' hearts race with possibility and dread in equal measure. We're talking about a player who was supposed to be the future of this receiving corps. A 4th overall pick who showed flashes of absolute brilliance, but whose time in Oakland ended in a way that left questions, doubts, and a bitter taste that some haven't forgotten even after all these years. The numbers were solid. Pro Bowl appearances, highlight reel catches, moments that made you believe magic was possible. But there were also the whispers, the concerns, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the heart wasn't fully invested in what it meant to be a Raider. Now, as the 2025 season approaches and the Raiders find themselves looking for that extra spark in their receiving room, that familiar name has surfaced again. Amari Cooper sits in free agency, a proven commodity with skills that could complement what they're building around their current core. On paper, it makes perfect sense. A veteran presence. A player who knows the system, someone who could provide the depth and experience that championship teams need when the pressure mounts and the lights get brightest. But football isn't played on paper, and some wounds run deeper than statistics can measure. Former Raiders offensive lineman Lincoln Kennedy, a man who bled silver and black during his playing days and who has watched this franchise through its highest highs and lowest lows, delivered words that hit like a freight train through the Raiders community. His message was clear, direct, and uncompromising. Stay away from Amari Cooper. Kennedy didn't mince words when he recalled that first interview with Cooper as a rookie, looking into his eyes and seeing something that chilled him to the bone. A lack of desire, a missing piece of that Raiders DNA that separates those who belong from those who are just passing through. He didn't want to be a Raider, Kennedy said. And those words echoed through every corner of Raider Nation like thunder in a storm. The accusation went deeper than just questioning Cooper's commitment. It suggested that from day one, from that very first moment he put on the silver and black, his heart was already somewhere else. The criticism didn't stop there. Kennedy went after Cooper's technical abilities, questioning his route running skills and suggesting that beyond the name recognition and the highlight reels, there wasn't enough substance to justify bringing him back into the fold. These weren't casual observations from a talking head looking for controversy. This was a Raiders legend, someone who understood what it meant to bleed for this organization, saying that Cooper was nothing more than a name without the foundation to back it up. The debate has split Raider Nation right down the middle. On one side, you have those who remember the flashes of brilliance, the moments when Cooper showed he could be the difference maker this team needed. They argue that people change, that a decade has passed, and that judging someone based on their rookie year mentality isn't fair to the player he's become. They point to his current reputation as one of the NFL's elite route runners, a skill that Kennedy questioned, but that the rest of the league respects and fears. On the other side, you have the purists, the fans who believe that being a Raider is about more than just talent. It's about heart, soul, and an unbreakable commitment to the silver and black legacy. They see Kennedy's words as validation of what they felt all along, that Cooper never truly embraced what it meant to be part of this family, and that bringing him back would be a betrayal of everything this franchise stands for. The front office faces a decision that goes beyond just football strategy. Do they take a chance on talent and hope that time has healed old wounds? Do they trust that Cooper has grown into someone who can embrace the Raiders way? Or do they listen to the voices of legends who warn that some things never change? The clock is ticking, and every day that passes without a decision is another day that the receiving room remains a question mark, heading into a season where every advantage could make the difference between playoff dreams and another year of what-ifs. But just when it seemed like the Cooper debate was the biggest storyline consuming Raider Nation, another story began to emerge from the shadows. And trust me, what's coming next is going to make the receiver controversy look like a gentle warm-up for the legal and ethical storm that's about to engulf this entire organization. The second earthquake to hit Las Vegas didn't come from the field or the practice facility. It came from the cold, harsh world of contracts, guarantees, and legal battles that could reshape how the entire NFL handles player disputes. We're talking about Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle who was supposed to be a cornerstone of this defense, whose $110 million contract with $82, $75 million guaranteed, was supposed to signal the Raiders' commitment to building something special on the defensive side of the ball. But football has a way of taking the best laid plans and turning them into nightmares, and what happened with Wilkins is exactly that kind of story. It started with a foot injury, the kind of setback that happens to players every season, the kind of challenge that champions overcome and pretenders use as excuses. But this wasn't just about an injury. This was about control, autonomy, and the fundamental question of who gets to make decisions about a player's body when millions of dollars are at stake. The Raiders wanted additional surgery. Wilkins preferred an alternative approach. On the surface, it sounds like a simple disagreement between medical opinions, the kind of thing that gets resolved with second opinions and compromise. But in the high-stakes world of professional football, where guaranteed money creates pressure and organizations protect investments like precious treasures, nothing is ever that simple. The Raiders made a decision that sent shockwaves through the NFL Players Association and created a legal battleground that could set precedents for years to come. They released Wilkins, calling him a terminated vested veteran and citing his failure to maintain his physical condition to play. In doing so, they took away $35.2 million in guarantees that were still sitting in his contract, money that was supposed to be protected regardless of what happened on the field. But the NFLPA saw something different in those tea leaves. They saw a violation of player rights, a breach of the collective bargaining agreement, and an organization trying to get out of paying guaranteed money by using medical disagreements as an excuse. They filed a grievance on Wilkins' behalf, and suddenly the Raiders found themselves in a legal war that goes far beyond football and touches on some of the most fundamental questions in professional sports. This isn't just about money, though the financial stakes are enormous. This is about autonomy, a player's right to make decisions about their own body, their own medical treatment, their own future. The NFL's collective bargaining agreement specifically protects players' rights to seek second medical opinions and to follow alternative treatment paths if they choose, after proper consultation. If Wilkins was operating within those rights, if his decision was medically reasonable and properly documented, then the Raiders' actions could be seen as a direct violation of everything the union has fought to protect. The ethical implications run even deeper. We're talking about bioethical principles that go to the heart of human dignity and personal choice. When an organization can take away guaranteed money because a player chooses one medically sound treatment over another, where does that leave individual autonomy? When the pressure to conform to team medical decisions becomes tied to financial security, how free are players to make choices about their own bodies? This case has parallels throughout professional sports, from Jack Eichel's battle with the Buffalo Sabres over surgical options to countless other disputes where player choice conflicts with organizational preferences. But what makes the Wilkins situation unique is the financial magnitude and the potential for setting league-wide precedents. If the Raiders win this battle, it could embolden other organizations to take similar aggressive stances. If Wilkins and the NFLPA prevail, it could strengthen player protections and make teams think twice before using medical disagreements as grounds for contract termination. The neutral arbitrator who will decide this case holds enormous power, not just over Wilkins' financial future, but over the balance between player rights and organizational authority throughout the NFL. The Raiders have remained silent on the matter, likely on advice of counsel as they prepare for what could be a lengthy and expensive legal battle. Wilkins, meanwhile, remains free to sign with another team, but the shadow of this grievance follows him wherever he goes. The implications extend far beyond one player and one contract. This is about the future of guaranteed money in the NFL, about the extent of organizational control over player medical decisions, and about whether the league's commitment to player safety includes respecting player choice in treatment options. The outcome could reshape how contracts are written, how medical disputes are handled, and how much power players have over their own bodies and careers. But as the legal storm swirled around contract disputes and medical controversies, as the debate raged over pass receivers and their commitment to the silver and black, another story was quietly developing in the background. And this story, this player, this addition to the roster that's been flying under the radar while everyone focused on the drama, this might just be the one that changes everything for the Raiders' defense in ways that nobody saw coming. The third piece of this puzzle, the player who could end up being the most important addition to this entire roster, came to Las Vegas without fanfare, without guaranteed money controversies, without debates about his heart or his commitment to the organization. Jamal Adams arrived as a quiet signing, a veteran looking for another chance, a former All-Pro trying to prove that his best days weren't behind him. But don't let the understated nature of his arrival fool you. What Adams brings to this Raiders defense could be the missing ingredient that transforms a unit with potential into a force that opponents fear and respect. We're not talking about a player who's looking for one last payday or trying to hang around for a few more years of mediocrity. We're talking about a defensive back who was once considered the absolute best at his position, a game changer who could elevate everyone around him when he was at his peak. Max Crosby, the heart and soul of this Raiders defense, the player who sets the tone and demands excellence from everyone who shares the field with him, sees something special in Adams. When Crosby speaks about his teammates, people listen because his standards are championship level and his evaluation of talent comes from someone who faces the best players in the league every single Sunday. His assessment of Adams wasn't just positive, it was enthusiastic, confident, and full of the kind of belief that can become contagious throughout a locker room. Dynamic was the word Crosby used to describe Adams, and in the vocabulary of elite NFL players, that word carries weight that casual fans might not fully appreciate. Dynamic doesn't just mean talented or skilled, it means game-changing, unpredictable, capable of making plays that shift momentum and alter the course of entire games. When Crosby calls Adams dynamic, he's saying that this is a player who can make things happen that other players simply cannot, who brings a dimension to the defense that wasn't there before. The Raiders defense has been building something special, but there were still questions about the secondary, still concerns about whether they had all the pieces necessary to compete with the elite offenses in the AFC. Jeremy Chin was brought in as a significant free agent signing, slated to start as strong safety next to Isaiah Pola-Mao, and on paper that looked like a solid foundation. But football is about more than just filling positions on a depth chart. It's about finding the right combinations, the right chemistry, the right mix of skills and personalities that can elevate a good defense into a great one. Adams brings something to the table that goes beyond just his individual abilities. He brings championship pedigree, playoff experience, and the kind of veteran leadership that can help younger players understand what it takes to perform when the stakes are highest. His 2 first-team All-Pro selections and 3 Pro Bowl appearances aren't just individual honors. They're proof that he knows how to play at the level this organization aspires to reach. The injury concerns are real, and nobody is pretending otherwise. Adams has dealt with physical setbacks over the past couple of seasons, the kind of challenges that can derail careers and force players into early retirement. But there's a difference between a player who's broken down and done and a player who's dealt with setbacks but still has elite level talent waiting to be unleashed. The Raiders medical staff has evaluated Adams, they've done their due diligence, and they believe he can contribute at a high level. What makes this signing potentially transformative is the flexibility it gives defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. Instead of being locked into one specific configuration, Graham now has options. He can move pieces around, create different looks, put players in positions where their strengths are maximized and their weaknesses are hidden. Adams' versatility as a safety who can play close to the line of scrimmage, cover receivers in a slot, or provide deep help over the top gives the defense multiple dimensions that opponents will have to account for. The timing couldn't be better. Just as controversies swirl around other aspects of the roster, just as questions mount about receiver commitments and contract disputes, Adams provides a positive storyline about talent, opportunity, and the kind of veteran addition that championship teams make. He's not looking for controversy or drama. He's looking for a chance to prove that his best football is still ahead of him, that the injuries were temporary setbacks rather than permanent limitations. Crosby's endorsement carries even more weight when you consider that defensive leaders are often the harshest critics of new additions. They're the ones who have to trust that every player around them will do their job when the game is on the line, who understand that one missed assignment or one moment of hesitation can be the difference between victory and defeat. When Crosby says he believes Adams will help the Raiders, he's putting his own reputation and credibility on the line. The potential impact extends beyond just what Adams can do individually. Great defensive players make everyone around him better, and if Adams can return even a portion of his peak form, the entire secondary could benefit. Young players can learn from his experience and professionalism. Veteran players can feed off his energy and championship mentality. The entire defense can gain confidence knowing they have a proven playmaker who understands what it takes to succeed at the highest level. This is the kind of signing that championship teams make. Low risk, high reward additions that can pay massive dividends if everything comes together the right way. The Raiders aren't betting huge guaranteed money or mortgage their future on Adams, but they're giving themselves a chance to add elite level talent to a defense that's already showing championship potential. As training camp unfolds and the preseason games begin, all eyes will be on whether Adams can prove that Crosby's confidence is justified. Can he stay healthy? Can he recapture the form that made him one of the most feared safeties in the league? Can he adapt to a new system and help elevate the players around him? These are the questions that will define not just Adams' future, but potentially the entire trajectory of the Raiders' defense. The beauty of this story is that it represents everything Raider Nation loves about their team. Taking chances on talented players, believing in redemption and second chances, and building a culture where excellence is expected and mediocrity is not tolerated. Adams has the opportunity to write a new chapter in his career, to prove that the best is yet to come, and to help bring a championship to Las Vegas in the process. So as the debates rage about receivers from the past and legal battles over guaranteed money, as the headlines focus on controversy and conflict, quietly and steadily, Jamal Adams is preparing to make his mark on this defense. The question isn't whether he has the talent. That was never in doubt. The question is whether he can stay healthy, whether he can adapt to his new surroundings, and whether he can help transform a good defense into a great one. And if everything comes together the way Max Crosby believes it will, if Adams can prove that his dynamic playmaking ability is still there waiting to be unleashed, then this quiet signing could end up being the most important move the Raiders made all offseason. Not because of guaranteed money or headline-grabbing drama, but because of what happens between the lines on Sunday afternoons, where championships are won and legends are made. So the question isn't whether the Raiders can make a serious run at the playoffs, it's whether the AFC is ready for a defense that could have all the pieces necessary to dominate, with Crosby leading the pass rush, with Adams providing dynamic playmaking in the secondary, and with a supporting cast that's hungry to prove they belong among the league's elite. This could be the year that everything comes together in ways that nobody outside of Las Vegas saw coming. If this fired you up, don't forget to smash that like button, drop your boldest predictions in the comments, and subscribe to stay connected with everything happening in Raider Nation. Because this story, these players this season. It's all just getting started, and the best is yet to come.